of you. We have already crossed time of this session. So I will be very brief. I had the fortune to speak in the last conference also of ELET. And last year it was a tough job because we had no idea that what is smart city. The reason is that everybody, almost all of us have some concept that this is how a smart city is, but what we are here sitting, today, we are in a position to say that what Government of India thinks and what it has approved in last 1 year, where it has reached. So it's basically an information exchange from our side that I am going to kind of in 5 to 10 minutes tell you that what Government of India has decided and how do we go about it. The one point that I need to kind of make very, I speak in all conferences about this, that kindly remember one thing, that as per the constitutional arrangement, urbanization is a state subject. And therefore, the main player in this business of the smart city is a state government. We were, before this smart city thing which came with a change in the Government of India was involved in the urban sector for precisely 2 reasons. We used to feel, Government of India has the feeling that the growth rate cannot be maintained in this country unless and until we make our city investment friendly and also reduce the cost of living of the business as well as the people. That was the first perspective that we have. And the second perspective that the Government of India has was that our large number of people are still in the farm sector, and as India will grow, very large number of people will come to the urban sector. So that being these 2 important imperatives, despite this being a state subject, the Government of India has a policy that we will support. Now the question is what kind of support and what have we learnt in last 5-6 years of supporting the state government, and what is new in this smart city concept, and how does the business should react it. Because I have one question which I think if I was CEO of a business organization, say of IT firm, I have an idea. I have a business opportunity. I have a business proposition. Whom do I go? Whom do I talk to? How do I kind of get my idea implemented? This is the question that I think almost many people come and ask us also, that listen, I have these are the new products that I have developed. Now whom do I go and speak to? So here, this particular forum must look at the program of the smart city very carefully and find out that what should be the mode of your interaction with the government. Because a smart cities, making a city is primarily, the prime mover are the government. So it has to be a government interaction with the government in one way or another. So with what government, where do we interact? So the first thing we learned in the JNRM, Jawaharlal Nehru National Urban Mission that we were running from 2005 onwards, was that if you kind of come and bring the project here in Delhi and try to kind of design the project in Delhi and then tell the state government to do it, it is not a very great idea. Because after all, people in state government are more smarter than people sitting in Delhi. If not, so there is no way that you can say that people, those who sit in Ministry of Urban Development or in then Planning Commission or now NITI Ayog, have more idea of how to run a city, because the city people have far better idea of running the city. So the first thing that this smart city mission that the Government of India has approved says that the selection of the smart city will be by the government of states. The second thing it says that I will give you 4 models. There is not one model of a smart city. I'll give you 4 ways, 4 models that you can bring it to us. The first model is that you can retrofit. You can take an area of 500 acres. If you can identify 500 acres in a city, you can take that area and make a plan to retrofit so that your basic services get improved, bring it to Government of India and get it approval. So that is for 500 acre retrofitting arrangement. The other one is that you can redevelop a very small portion of the city, which is a 50-acre area, and redevelop that. And that redevelopment also you can bring it to the Government of India as one of the project. The third one is that if you have a vacant area in the city, So if there is a vacant area which is not already developed or which does not have old development, you can take that particular vacant area, make a compact plan of, and that should be not less than 250 acre, and bring it on the table. The fourth model is that if you want to make a general improvement about the services in the city, like make a great IT improvement or make a great water supply improvement in the city, then you can also get that project to Government of India. So with this, the Bharat Sarkar or Government of India thinks that we will be able to choose 100 such places, 100 such cities. They have already distributed the number of the cities to the state that you can develop this much. You can choose the model. Now the question is, suppose I am the CEO, how do I ensure that I have some great brilliant idea and how will I get into this smart city development? Now perhaps NITI Ayog as well as NASSCOM and Ministry of Urban Development has to sit together. And the demand should come from platforms like this, that please tell us that what is the mechanism through which we can integrate. Now I can see the possibility of this mechanism is that for every such city where we choose to make a smart city, there is a concept of making an advisory forum. That is one window where one can go and approach and say that your approach need to be changed like this. That is the window number one. The second one is that once you have selected a particular smart city area, that this is the area where we develop, the government will be requiring a plan for development of that city for next 5-year period. Now once that plan is being made, there is a time for intervention there, that whether that plan is consistent with what your thought process is or what the IT industry can do about it. And the third, of course, is at the time of approval, where the Ministry of Urban Development will be doing. So what I'm looking at is, what we are looking forward to is that even if there are many great ideas, unless and until you build the institutional mechanism, they do not get incorporated directly. As far as money is concerned, let me assure you, in urban sector, we have a very contrasting picture. And the picture is that every expert tells us that you need very high level of investment in urban sector. And that is based on pure engineering cost. It is, of course, quite high. We had a committee led by Ishwar Ahluwalia who made a wonderful task telling us you need around 40 lakh crores over the 20-year period only for capex for the urban infrastructure and the 20 lakh crore for OPEX for the infrastructure. But this is also a fact that year after year, the ministries of urban development and also for housing and urban poverty alleviation have found it difficult to utilize all their budget, because the initiative need to come from the state government and also from the city governments. So the point that we are trying to say is that for this smart city program, the Government of India looks at providing around 48,000 crore. Another 48,000 crore it expects from the state government to come on this, so that it is almost about 1 lakh crore program for next 5 years. What we can look at the Government of India's finances and say that money will not be a consideration. It is not a constraint. Generally, it is the good planning and it is the initiative from the good project, initiative from the state government and city government, which is not to the level that Ministry of Urban Development or Ministry of Hoopa can say that here is the project, please give me more money. There is, of course, there is an issue of how do we kind of define the guidelines for the scheme, because if I speak from the state government perspective, many of them have come and told us that your guidelines are quite straight-jacketed, quite problematic. Now this time what we have done is that from the point of these two schemes, most of the decision-making processes lies with the state government first, and therefore we expect that there will be far more flexibility. The second thing what we have done is that we are improving we are looking at the reform of the overall scheme structure of Government of India, where we are attempting to provide in every scheme around 25% of the allocation to the state government to decide it as a flexi fund, so that you can decide as long as you meet the objective of the scheme. So this being the case, our whole approach is that people in Delhi cannot decide how Chennai should develop. So therefore, Chennai should decide how it should develop. We will give you 4 models. Here is some assistance. But at the same time, the government at the state level or the Government of India level have also to talk with the private sector, and we are trying to build that particular process. And here I see the importance of a platform like this, which can put a pressure on the government that please make those processes, because individually many CEOs are moving, they're approaching so many people, but you're not able to get where that, how do we move? A specific point is that if we get a paper from the industry saying that your procurement guidelines, these are the problems that we face in a procurement guideline, some experts should sit and then they should decide that what improvement Government of India or the state government should make in the procurement guidelines so that these ideas can be procured properly and implemented properly, then that makes sense. Because that is what this kind of forum should tell us. One last thing that I want to say is that it is customary for many of people who have been, when you're talking about smart city, to look at the Western solution. Look at the solution in Singapore and look at the solution in many of the Western countries. We have made a lot of comparison in terms of cost. We find that in most of these services, the Indian cost is fairly competitive. I mean, the cost with which the water is purified in France is far more expensive than what we can purify the water here. So the point that I'm trying to see is that we are looking at the innovation, which is not the Western solution, but the local solution, which reduces our cost further, because our quality is poor, but our cost is much less. And if we can improve our cost, we can't reach the level of the Western Europe or of United States or of even Singapore and say that, this is not for generalization, but in general. I mean, I can give you an example. A 2-hour ride in Amsterdam metro takes you 5.6 euro. A 2-hour ride in our metro, you can calculate. Our highest fees is 44 rupees and lowest is 8 rupees. So that being the case, whereas the cost of producing services as far as engineering is concerned is almost same. The cost of making the track, the cost of purchasing the rolling stock is the global cost. So cost-wise, I mean, it is hard to, believe, but cost-wise, we are quite competitive. What we need to do is, we are looking for IT innovation to make it further less, so that we have a very large number of population whose purchasing power is so less that we have a limitation in increasing the user charges, a point which we in NITI Ayog want the state government to increase the user charges, but we understand the limitation that a large number of services need to be produced at a much cheaper cost. I'll end up with one anecdote. In my office, I'm a great fan of metro rail. I've been associated with those projects for quite some time. So I asked one of my staff that, why don't you use metro? Why do you come by cycle? I mean, he comes a long distance to cycle. So I asked him, why do you come? He said, 21 rupees साहब एक तरफ के लगते हैं. So that is the issue. When you look at the 21 rupees, it's nothing for many of us here, but the population that we are targeting, cost is a very important concept. So I sum this particular smart city dialogue. The real stakeholders, the real players are the city government and the state government. We wish this particular forum to tell us or to demand from us that please generate the processes and resources so that the industry can effectively participate and the good ideas just do not die in terms of the bad procurement policies. Thank you.